Aaron Hernandez committed suicide this week. What were your thoughts on Aaron Hernandez?
That is still one of the freakiest stories. That is just one of the wildest stories. It really is. And it shows that, for all of this talk about how great the NFL security team is and this, that, and the other, it's hard to believe that what was happening with Aaron Hernandez actually slipped through the cracks for so long.
Yeah.
But he's also the case of why, dudes like, there's always a dummy in the draft every year. There's a couple dummies, but, like Laramie Tunsil last year, it comes up on the draft. He's got, the bong mask that he has on, the weed mask. And he had a domestic violence with his father charge, earlier in his life. And, that brings up flags. This year it's Reuben Foster. And Reuben Foster's had a longer history of it. Dalvin Cook down at Florida State is another guy with, who's had a sketchy past. And they're worried about people being around him and keeping his people with him. Well, Aaron Hernandez is the reason that people worry about when you don't let your people go when you come up to the NFL. A lot of these guys, on the streets, they're getting protection from gangs. A lot of people can't comprehend. They don't have any idea what a lot of these kids go through.
Right.
And they don't know what it's like to have two factions kind of saying that they're going to look after them, actually warring with each other, trying to take control over you and your life and your family.
Money.
And your money. And it's hard, and that's the whole thing. And they, one of the things that they try to get to these players is, you try to buy off your past. You try to move away from it. However you have to do it, whether it's buying guys off, whether it's just putting your foot down, whatever you have to do to get away from it, you've got to get away from it. And Aaron Hernandez, look, he's a special case. It's not like, he seems to been crazy from the jump. He didn't turn that way. Dude was pretty psychotic, and was able to hide some of it for a while. But, the situation was going to happen with him how it happened. But, the people that you have around you and dragging you down like that, to be put in a position where you could be pulling the trigger, let alone being around it, but you're the trigger man on it, that's where the concern is with a lot of these guys. And it just blows me away. In New England, that a team that doesn't, they
tolerate.
have this mentality with their players about always having the right thing and the Patriot way and all that sort of stuff. And they're the ones who renegotiated Aaron Hernandez's contract. And they didn't know about any of this stuff. It's mind-numbing with how everything worked out.
Yeah, I don't think he killed himself. I think the gang set it up and killed him.
It wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me at all. Or if he was trying to get out of something that has nothing to do with the trials. I mean, he was found, not guilty there. Maybe he knew there was something on the inside. God only knows what it was, what it really was. But, when it comes to situations like that in jails, you always have to kind of, keep one eye kind of cockeyed on it because you don't really know.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they were threatening him and he chose to take his life. Who knows? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what it could have been? It's just, that was a crazy ass. It's crazy. I mean, people talk about, all this talent got thrown away and all this stuff. It's just, to me, like, psychologically, it's an amazing story of what can happen.
Exactly, and it teaches you what not to do. And I think that, everyone needs to remember, everyone's replaceable. So there'll be another one. Unfortunately, not to, sound, empty. I don't know. I just think everyone's replaceable at the end of the day.
Well, it's a cold-ass world out there, but, that's the cycle of life. There's going to be somebody after you. That's how it goes, so.
Unfortunately, is that cold-hearted? I apologize if it come off that way, but that's the way the NFL looks at it, too, like, okay, next. Although they were saying, I was watching on the, yeah, and I was watching on the news that, like, the whole cell is under investigation now, and they've taken all the evidence or whatever, so we'll see. I guess it'll come out in the next couple weeks or so. Now, do you have...
Well, yeah, and what always got me about that, too, was, like, you hear the ESPN guys talk about how godforsaken a place Connecticut is, and it's like, you don't think of, like, high gang activity taking place in Connecticut, but I guess there is.
Perhaps. But, look here at Blunt, for example. He didn't do well in Tampa Bay. He didn't do well in Pittsburgh. But in New England, Coach Bill Belichick keeps him under control. So I'm just uncertain why they didn't handle Aaron, or maybe they just didn't want to get involved in that. It's too deep, maybe. Who knows?
That's true. Hey, look, for years, Bill Parcells, it's you can turn the other way on a lot of things for a long time. I mean, that's the one thing about the NFL. It's life. If you have a special set of talents, it's real easy to look the other way.
Yes, Mike, we have a caller. Welcome to Between the Cleats, Mike. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm listening to the show, and I was sucking it up. I wanted to hear everybody's perspective before I called in.
Oh, you're a huge Atlanta Falcons fan, right?
Yeah, I'm fanatical. So,
rise up.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on,
not much. I was wondering, the Falcons don't seem to have a lot of weaknesses. Coming back, do you think that they should draft like the Patriots normally do, where you build for future drafts, or do you think they should try to just get the best player available? I'm just, wondering, because my brother and I, we were talking about this over the weekend. Maybe the Falcons should, since we're strong in so many places, trade down or trade out of the first round and pick up an extra first rounder next year, or pick up extra later round picks. I'm just interested in perspectives on that.
I'm all for that. This whole draft, it's funny because there's probably more guys in this draft that can go in and actually make impacts on their team, and not like, Pro Bowl impacts, but they could be starters and actually contribute going into the third round. I mean, there are a lot of guys. I mean, that's the one thing about this draft. It's short on stars. It's short on sure things, on paper, but it's long on guys who can make a difference. So you're going to see a lot of teams, I think, crazy trading out of the first round, which is why it's hard to pick the first round anyway, because it's like, does Tennessee trade down? Do the Jets trade down? Does San Francisco trade down?
Right.
Cleveland trade down even with all their picks? And if I'm Atlanta, which I am, I kind of want to get out. Depending on what's there. Like, if Cam Robinson's there, okay, maybe I take him. If there's for example, I think this is insane to me, because I really like Derek Barnett, but there are a lot of teams that seemingly, the media likes Derek Barnett, but, a lot of teams are kind of shaky on him. If he's down there, if Taco Charlton happens to be there, I'm probably going to take him, but if not, I'm probably going to trade back into the second round, because I'd rather bolster picks and then pick up a Lamp, or pick up somebody, if we can get somebody to replace Chester at guard, I think that can be done in the second round later on. You know what I'm saying? Again, if the edge rusher is there, then I'm on it because I want somebody there with Beasley. But if not, I can stand back a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are going to, because, I get a lot of grief because I do business in New Orleans as well, and there was just
they're the worst, aren't they?
In this city.
Oh.
There was so much happiness in this city after the Falcons loss, and I think if we're disciplined in the draft, we can build long-term success, because Ryan's still young, most of the line is still young, the defense is definitely young. We can just build long-term success by being disciplined in this draft. And one thing about Demetrius, he's been a disciplined GM, and we've built the team the right way. And so I don't know. My brother and I were chopping up about that over the weekend, and I was definitely looking to get somebody else's opinion on it, because this is a great time to be a Falcons fan. I mean, we were the better team in that Super Bowl. We haven't really discussed it. We don't discuss that.
He went to the Super Bowl,
but
Mike.
We were the better team. We were clearly the better team, and we have a complete team coming back next year. We weren't devastated by free agency. People didn't take the money and run. We were strong coming back. I mean, I think if we use this draft wisely, we can build to next year and next year's draft as well, where there may be holes. People may take the money and run. So, and I think next year's draft is going to be stronger than this year.
take the money run's going to happen because it's the NFL, but it's like Dontari Poe coming over from Kansas City. Now, he can win in Kansas City. It's not like Kansas City's going to fall off at all, but he decided to come to Atlanta, and that's going to be the other thing with winning, too, and with the organization being built the way it is, like New England, like Seattle. Dimitroff's an old New England guy, and you got Quinn coming over from Seattle who had a chance to come up like that, and you got an owner with who's just fantastic. I mean, Arthur Blank is great to seemingly back off and not. He learned his lesson when Michael Vick doesn't get involved. Let the football guys handle it. So to become a destination spot, too, for free agency is going to help alleviate some of those guys who you are going to lose down the line. But if you think you can have a chance to compete every year and you like the coaches you play for, which is another thing with Quinn, and it's Mike Smith was like that, too, although, times change. Right. Man, Quinn is the perfect guy with the right guy at the right time for Atlanta. It's been great.
Yeah. And as far as the SEC, I just want to throw that out there. I am a Georgia fan. And even though I went to Georgia State and I am fanatical and a booster at my school, I love UGA, and Chubb is going to have a monster year. I just want to throw that out there. That offensive line at Georgia is going to be a year older. I watched the G-Day games. That's what my brothers and I were over the weekend. And they're going to have – I think Georgia's going to surprise the East. I think Georgia may win the East this year. I think Bama's a killing machine, but I think Georgia may win the East this year and make it competitive. I just want to throw that little SEC. I was listening to the show earlier as well.
From Ella.
Throw that out there as
well. Ella's pretty smart, isn't she?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It is amazing. I love, somebody said it on Twitter this morning, it is so sexy when a woman can walk into a room and turn every head and then know football as well as any guy. That's like the sexiest thing in the world.
Yeah, guys awesome. Loved her.
Anyway, I'm not going to hold you guys up. I enjoy listening, and the lineup was amazing again today. Cece, Tio, you guys keep it up. These guests you guys are bringing are amazing.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jay. You have a wonderful Sunday.
All right, guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Mike, you've been wonderful.
You have been wonderful. Thank you so much. And we've taken up so much of your time this morning. Is there anything else you want to add to it? Because we're coming to the end of an hour.
Well, I just want to, thank you guys very much. Anytime you want me on, thank you for letting me ramble about here. Because football season is great. Love it. So I'm happy that it's back in effect again. I'm a Nationals fan. I'm a New York Rangers fan, believe it or not. So it's like, I'm not a front runner. I just fell into these teams. I'm loyal to them, although it's a mix-mash combination. But things are going well. I'm a Washington Wizards fan because I was a Knicks fan for years, but then I gave up on basketball. My kid was born, became a John Wall fan, so I became a Wizards fan, and that's been lovely so far this year. So happy times in the spring. Hope spring's eternal. But WrestlingObserver.com is where you can find all my stuff, and just go there for all the information on Wrestling Observer Live, which is available 7 days a week, 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, different times on the weekend. Sunday will be on tonight on Sirius XM Satellite Radio at 6 p.m. on Rush Channel 93. And thank you guys so much. I'm on Twitter at Sempervive. You guys have been awesome, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much, babe. You have a wonderful day.
You guys too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.